Hello everybody. Lesson 9 Organics Timber. Introduction. This chapter covers one of the oldest and most important construction materials, timber. The cell structures of hardwoods and softwoods are dealt with first, explaining how they are formed during the growth process. The shape and the distribution of the cells leads to the anisotropy of timber and the non-uniform strength properties and dimensional response to changes in moisture content and humidity. The seasoning and the conversion of timber and the manufacture of timber products are dealt with, and the chapter concludes with a discussion of how the use of timber might contribute to a more sustainable future for the construction industry. Timber has been used as a construction material since the earliest times. It's still an important construction material today because of its versatile properties, its diversity, and its aesthetic qualities. In the UK, about 2/3 of all sawn softwoods and our 1/3 of sawn hardwoods go into construction. The rest goes into paper production as fuel or is wasted during the logging process. Worldwide, perhaps half of all timber harvested is burned for fuel. It's important to emphasize at the outset that timber is not just a versatile and important construction material. It's also a vital component of the Earth's ecosystems, and it plays a vital role in maintaining life of this planet. We ignore this fact of our peril. Animals, including humans, need oxygen and food to live, and these are produced by photosynthesis in green plants. Trees are the largest forms of plant life, and so they play a preeminent part in providing the oxygen necessary for life. And in the sequestration of CO2 from the Earth's atmosphere. So the Earth's forests, besides being a source of timber, also act as a carbon sink. Timber is also a renewable source and so can make an important contribution towards the achievement of sustainable building. Timber is called renewable because if we cut down a mature tree for timber, we can replace it by replanting with seedlings which will eventually grow to maturity. So while we can say that timber is renewable in principle, there is more to it than that. A mature forest with a northern temperate forest with deciduous and coniferous trees, or a tropical rainforest containing various hardwoods will contain a whole variety of other plants besides, together with numerous insects, birds, mammals, reptiles, etc. In other words, the forest will contain a complete ecosystem. It will contain biodiversity. So if the harvest trees, we shall damage the forest if we don't manage to preserve this biodiversity. A loss of biodiversity will lead to extinction of species and runs against the principles of sustainability. Forests provide habitats for a whole range of plants and animals, and this must be preserved. In conclusion, it's very important that forests are not regarded just as source of timber. Their vital contribution to the maintenance of life must always be borne in mind. There is evidence that societies that cut all their trees down to not survive. Structure of timber. Timber is obtained from trees, the largest type of plant life on Earth. Timber is used as a structural material and also for its aesthetic qualities, among others. Both of these important properties depend on its cell structure or microstructure, and so we need to understand the structure of timber at the level of the individual cells. Figure shows a wedge-shaped section cut from a 5-year-old tree, and it shows the way its cell structure is arranged. The cell structure has to meet the three functions given above. Wood can be classified into two types, hardwood and softwood, and the difference between them lies in their cell structure. This classification is based solely on the cell structures and not on the actual hardness or strength of individual species. Balsa wood, for example, is classed as a hardwood despite being weaker and softer than most softwood. We can distinguish between them by examining their structure under a microscope. Typical examples are shown here. A wedge-shaped section cut from a 5-year-old tree. So this is a cambium layer. This is a late wood. This is a early wood. This is a annual or growth ring. And all the slabs, this is a sape wood, and this is a hardwood piece. This is inner bark, and this is a outer bark. In each case, it's possible to differentiate between the early wood, very porous, and the late wood, more dense. The early wood is so called because it grows early in the annual growing season, when the tree needs high volumes of water to open its leaves to the sun. The buds are opened and the leaves spread by hydraulic or water pressure. The buds are opened and the leaves spread by hydraulic pressure. Once the leaves are open and synthesizing food, the water requirement reduces dramatically. The later growth is of higher density, providing more strength and less conduction. The vessel cells themselves are long tubular cells composed of cellulose, and they are closed at each end. They are very long compared to their diameters, but they are connected to each other by small circular valves called pits. These pits allow the transmission of moisture and nutrients from one vessel to the next in a long vertical chain of cells. Alternatively, vertical vessel cells may be connected to those aligned radially to allow moisture and nutrient movement in the radial direction to sweet, chestnut, and Scots pine. So here you can see differences of hardwood and softwood. Hardwood are darker color, heavy, more expensive, last for several decades, natural weather resistance, more environmental impact, and softwood, lighter color, lighter weight, less expensive, lasts for over a decade, weather resistant when treated, less environmental impact. Timber as a sustainable construction material. In every field of engineering and technology, including construction, sustainability is now an important topic. The drive is on for renewable and sustainable materials, as well as the construction of minimum energy buildings. And how can timber help? At the present time, steel and concrete are widely used, especially for high-rise buildings. However, very recently timber has been used to construct a 9-story residential block in London, approximately 100 feet height. The State House building. This success could presage the construction of more such buildings, perhaps even 25 stories or more in height. And what difficulties stand in the way of doing this? What advantages would the use of timber confer? It will be useful to examine some of the basic properties of the three structural materials: steel, concrete, and timber. Some of these key properties are given in this table. This table showing values of stiffness, thermal conductivity, and thermal diffusivities for steel, concrete, and timber. We can see immediately that timber has the lowest density of the three materials. It also has the lowest stiffness, the lowest value of thermal conductivity and thermal diffusivity, and a low value of embodied energy. So the first benefit of using timber instead of steel or concrete would be the lightness of the building and a saving in weight of concrete for foundations. Another very desirable advantage of timber is in speed of erection. Timber lends itself to machining and pre-cutting of the piece of timber, and of doing some prefabrication under factory conditions. On-site work is then limited to assembly of factory-made units and items. And this leads to more accurate construction and to a considerable reduction in the time spent on site. In the construction of the State House, construction time using timber was 49 weeks, as against the 72 weeks that would have been needed for construction with concrete. The weight of the timber building was 300 tons compared with 1,200 tons for concrete. In terms of carbon footprint, the timber in the State House stores 185 tons of carbon, whereas 125 tons of carbon would have been emitted in producing a corresponding concrete and steel building. Timber technology. Softwood timber is a natural product that is grown in the ground and consequently processed into elements of timber frame construction. Each piece of timber is unique and its strength properties may differ by the number of defects. This model examines the properties of timber and the factors that might lead to its deterioration over time. Timber properties. Timber can be gained from thousands of different tree species, but the botanical classification divides timber into hardwood and softwood. Hardwoods mainly used for furniture, softwoods for construction elements and framing. The most important classification for structural purposes are the strength characteristics and durability, as timber must be able to withstand the loading and stress that is impact upon it. This is particularly important with softwood, which is used predominantly for structural timbers, as this is the most economical timber to use for structural application. When specifying softwood structural timbers, the following should be described. Any preservative treatment. Cross-sectional size and surface finish. The moisture content. The strength class. Preservative treatment. The majority of softwood contains a high proportion of sapwood, which is essentially the growing layer of a tree. This is more prone to attack than the denser structural hardwood found closer to the core of a timber trunk. Timber can be specified to be chemically treated to prevent possible fungal decay, weight or dry rot, and potential infection from wood insects. The requirement for timber preservation will be determined by the position of the timbers within a building and the geographical location. The building regulations require that wood must be treated if it applied in roof construction. Cross-sectional size and surface finish. Softwood cross-sectional size has previously been specified under three classifications. Sawn. Sawn is a result of converting a timber into commercially accepted sizes. For example, 50 mm multiply 100 mm, 75 mm multiply 225 mm. Application of these sections is largely for unseen structural use. such as joists and rafters, as its method of processing leaves a rose finish to the timber surface.